Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Hey Lamb podcast where we discuss all things Mariah Carey related. I'm your host Matt, aka Treacle. Perhaps you know me from my YouTube channel True Treacle. In fact, maybe you are watching this on my channel because this is a video podcast. Perhaps you are watching on True Treacle, or perhaps you are listening with your headphones plugged in from wherever you get good podcasts. So welcome once again to Hey Lamb. This is my little safe space, my little corner of the internet where I get to geek out and chat about all things Mariah because it's so much fun for me to do. Thank you for joining me and get involved on Instagram. I have a new Instagram account. It is the Hey Lamb Podcast. So at Hey Lamb Podcast over on Instagram, you can get involved. Let me know what you are thinking of episodes and also help shape future content. Let me know what you would like to hear discussed on the Hey Lamb Podcast. So today's topic of conversation. Well, I have been thinking about MC30 still and reflecting on Mariah's career, and I've been talking about Mariah's career with a lot of friends and lambs, so friends who enjoy Mariah, maybe they've dipped in and out of her career, and we've been talking about how their perception of Mariah and how their love and enjoyment of her music has changed over the years. And it really has changed over the years. And there's been ups and there's been downs in terms of her relationship with the public and her relationship with the press. And that is something that I wanted to explore because I think it's getting a little bit better in recent years. So I wanted to discuss, is that the case or is that just me? And also I thought it would be interesting to compare what it is like here in the UK with what it's like over in the USA. So that brings me to today's guest. We have an American lamb with us on the podcast, and it is a familiar face to those of you who have been watching my YouTube channel, True Treacle. Straight out of my book club, my guest today is Dimitri. Hey, lamb.
Hello, hey Lamb.
How are
How are
you?
you? I'm great. I'm really good. How are you?
Good. It's a pleasure to have you. We are chatting so much all the time on Instagram and DMs
Yeah.
and everything. In fact, it's actually a struggle to keep up sometimes because we have this time difference. But your clock's just changed, so we're 7 hours apart right now, not eight. Makes it a
Instead
little
of eight,
easier.
yeah. A little easier.
Just a little easier, just a little easier. But yeah, no, it's been so much fun having you on my YouTube channel and discussing all kinds of things. But mostly, well, on camera, it's been the book club, but then off camera, we've discussed, so many things.
So many things, yes. Some that should just stay in the group chat. No, just kidding.
Some things are not for broadcast. But so yeah, guys, you have seen Dimitri on my YouTube channel, notably with the book club series. But I'm sure you're already following him on social media. So let me check I've got the handles right. The Twitter is Dimitri L for L, like L, the
Yes.
number 4L, and then
Yes.
Instagram is like Dummy Try, Dummytri.
Yeah, so it's like a play on Dimitri, like
Yeah.
dummy tree. Yeah.
And that is also the YouTube.
Yes, YouTube.
So, yeah, Dimitri, what I want to chat about today is, well, first of all, I want to invite you just to talk a little bit about how you came into the Lamley. And I'm just interested in what your perception of Mariah was at the time when you discovered her music. Like, how did that come about? Was it friends or family? And what was the perception amongst your friends and family and also just like public? So, let's start with that. How did you get into Mariah's music way back when?
When I got into Mariah's music and when I became a lamb are like two different times
Uh huh.
because I discovered Mariah like when I was extremely young, like very, very young, like a toddler. And I would always really like her music, but I didn't know who Mariah Carey was. It was just like that song, I like that song, I like that song. Fast forward to I was in middle school. This is when Emancipation came out. And that's when I was like, oh, this song, the whole album was great. But that's when I became a lamb, a huge fan. And then this was like, I don't want to say like the beginning of YouTube, but this is when I discovered YouTube as well. So then I was able to like go discover her other music. And then, of course, I fell in love with all of her music. But that's when I, you know, realized like, oh, this song is Mariah Carey. I've loved this song for so long. So yeah, I discovered her when I was a toddler, but I became a lamb during the Emancipation era.
So was her music ever like in the family household? Like you said, when you finally like delved in, you're listening, on YouTube and you're connecting, okay, she does this song, she does that song. Were those songs playing in the house or was it just like general in the background kind of, radio situations?
In the house for sure. My mother had her records, and I would always get in trouble for like trying to put on the record, and I would break the needle because I was, like I said, a toddler. So I'd
Don't
always
touch
get in
it,
trouble
get
for
away.
that. Exactly. But I remember, yeah, my mom would always play Mariah Carey, and she would always be like, "This is the best singer to ever do it. And she's the greatest singer of all time." And then I, of course, took that and ran with it, and now I'm like, obviously a crazy fan, but
Do
yeah,
I
it
remember
started that.
you telling me previously that your mother played Mariah to you in development in the womb?
She did. I knew you were going there. Yeah, she did. So when I discovered the Emancipation of Mimi album, or when it came out, I told my mom, I was like, "Oh, I love this song." Like, and then she was like, "That's Mariah Carey. That's who I used to play all the time." And then she told me a story about when she was pregnant, and I would like be like kicking, or she would like need to go to sleep. What she would do is she would pop in her cassette on the boombox and lay the boombox next to her stomach. And she said that I would calm down, I would stop kicking, and she would be able to sleep. So she would go to sleep to, I believe it was the Music Box cassette, um,
Mm.
because she would say she used to play Hero a lot on her cassette. So yeah, I was, a developing lamb in the womb, darling.
I love that. You all cozy in the womb, growing with like the melodies of like music box, literally like the title track music box. That's a lullaby right there.
Exactly.
You had a, yeah, in the womb growing anthem album.
Exactly. Not many people have that to their credit, so I don't know.
Exactly. I think you're the only person that I'm aware of. You're the only person that's told me that, yep, I had Mariah in the womb.
My mom always says she's like, if I ever meet Mariah Carey, I'm telling her that story. I'm like,
Oh, absolutely.
that'll probably be a new one
Absolutely.
for her. Yeah.
So you and I had different situations because you grew up where there was this awareness and love for Mariah's music in the house. Was it just your mother? Did that then bleed out into anyone else in the family or friends, or was it just like, oh yeah, at home sometimes Mariah is played by my mother?
Yeah, it was just my mother. She played a lot of music, but Mariah was heavy in rotation for sure.
See, I never had that. My gateway, and I mentioned this in the last podcast. My gateway was All I Want for Christmas Is You, and then my mother bought me the Daydream album on cassette just because she thought, well, he might like that. But it wasn't because she or my family had any personal enjoyment really. So it was just me finding Mariah by myself and then taking it from there. But I didn't really have loads of people that loved Mariah. It was really weird because I didn't become like a real fan until maybe age 15, 16. So yeah, I'm going back and finding all the albums. I was 17 when Glitter came out, and that's when I joined the Lamely, and it was rough. It was rough because you
Yeah.
didn't really like, it sounds bad on reflection, but you didn't really tell people that you were a Mariah fan because you just knew you're setting yourself up for a certain type of conversation, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Did you ever have any moments like that, years ago, where you were a little bit hesitant to tell people that you listened to Mariah, or people voiced opinions or anything, or was it just always loud and proud?
Definitely always loud and proud. But yes, I knew, just depending on which era we were in, I always knew that, I was gonna get some negative feedback, of course, and it's still like that till
Mm.
today. Um, but depending on, what era we're in, what recent performance happened, or what is going on in the media, then of course people are like, "Oh, did you see that?" Or like, and then I always have to, of course, come with the facts. But yeah, it's definitely um, more so, I would say, overall, kind of more so negative than it is positive whenever I share that I'm a Mariah Carey fan.
Really?
Yeah, from like the general public.
Because that was exactly what I wanted to ask you next. So what do you suppose, or what has been your experience that the average person on the street, or if you are in like a social situation and Mariah comes on, you put her on, like what is the general vibe? So mostly negative.
Mostly negative, yeah. I found like recently it's been more positive, of course. which that just goes to show that people are just they just kind of follow the crowd, or like they don't really have their own opinion about Mariah Carey. It's just like,
Hmm.
what are people saying about Mariah right now? And that's where they go with it.
Yeah, yeah. What is the trend over here in the UK? I feel like Mariah has always had a really bad deal. She's never had a fair chance, really, because our press is nasty, particularly the printed press. I mean, I don't know how much you pay attention to like news or like our news in particular, but it's getting. I want to say it's getting better, but it's not. What's happening now is people are like the press are being held accountable, and people are suing newspapers. And there was that phone hacking scandal a few years back, and a long established paper folded. There's you can be held accountable for tapping phones, writing, untrue things, and sometimes it's just playful, but sometimes it's really, really nasty. I don't think Mariah's ever really been, afoul of anything really nasty, but it's just
Hmm.
all this stereotypical bullshit. It's all the stuff that the press over here laps up and loves to hear and report about Mariah is, she demanded X number of puppies before she would conduct the interview. She goes everywhere with her own lighting team. Someone is employed to put a straw in her drink. And and I know you get those rumors
Hmm.
on your side of the pond, but I feel like over here we, not me personally, of course, but we, the collective British public, we swallow all of that and we just believe it too easily. And I don't feel like people take any kind of like tongue in cheek aspect of Mariah's divadom. They just go, yeah, she really is that person. What's it like over there? Do people really believe all of that? Or is it like, yeah, pinch of salt, yeah, it's just, come on, that's not really the case.
Yeah, I think a lot of people actually do believe that. Yeah, it's always like, oh, doesn't she request this, or doesn't she like act like this, or isn't she rude to her staff? And it's just like crazy off the wall rumors, like, oh, didn't she like leave one of her background singers? Like, no, that did not happen. But yeah, people, I mean, they take it and they run with it. Probably, I would say maybe on your end, it's a little bit more. I don't know what goes through these people's minds, but I'm like, if you would just follow her and then see
Yeah.
for yourself.
I've been outside hotels in London. Like, I mean, this is back in the day. My hotel camping days were 2001 to 2005, and then I was done, because I wasn't a student anymore. But yeah, you can be outside a hotel and you can have moments with her, and she comes out and she's so lovely and she's so giving, and there are press there, and or actually someone will report it, and as far as we're aware, there were no press reporters from that magazine or that newspaper, but they'll tell a story of like how it went down. Well, like, no, like she came out and she was lovely. There was no like demanding of red carpets or like silly things like she sends her people ahead, and there has to be a red carpet and all this. A friend of mine was outside a hotel in Germany, or I forget. She was either arriving in Germany, or no, I think she had left Germany and was flying to London. Yeah, it was on a European promo trip, and it was perhaps Charm Bracelet or Glitter era. And she left at 3 a.m. or arrived at 3 a.m. and it was, like tired, shades on. There's a few fans there because it's the middle of the night, and I wasn't there, but she's super lovely. And the lambs that are there report how wonderful she was. I don't think there was photos, but there was, autographs allowed. And then this story came out, and it was reported everywhere that her car circled the hotel and she would not stop and she would not get out because there was no red carpet. There were no huge candles, and she or her team looked at that situation and said, "I'm not getting out of the car for that." And she actually, I'm trying to remember the interviews where she like picked up on it, because it was reported that much that she commented on it or she got asked about it. Like, sometimes people ask her, "What is the biggest misconception about Mariah Carey?" And at that time, she kept coming back to that story. Oh, it was reported I wouldn't get out, I wouldn't check into the hotel because there wasn't a red carpet and there wasn't all this. Do you really think I know at 3 a.m. when I'm so tired whether I'm walking on stone or carpet or grass? I can like hear the sound bite in my head, but I can't place
Hmm.
the interview. And it's things like that used to drive me nuts. These days,
Yeah.
I don't care, because if you want to believe that shit, then you go ahead and believe it. It's not my job to convince you otherwise.
Exactly. And I mean, in this day, you can't really. I mean, there's social media. People can prove you wrong. Somebody has a video of her getting out of that
Hmm.
car and saying hi. You know, like this, you can't make that sort of stuff up these days. But, back then
You
it
can
was,
try, you can try, but
yeah,
it's harder to get away with. Yeah, definitely. I
exactly.
remember. I think actually, do you know? My memory is shocking, but I actually think now I'm talking about it. I think I might have been there. I think actually she was leaving Germany, and it was one of the rare times I may have been outside a hotel in London in the middle of the night, hoping to see her. And the hotel they were aware that she was coming, and the hotel chose to. I think there already was a red carpet because it's like that kind of hotel. But they came out and they put these. I think there already were like really big, like 3-4 foot huge candles, and they lit them because they were there and they lit them. But Mariah came out. All she cared about was saying hi to the fans, to the lambs.
Yeah.
Like if a hotel chooses to keep a nice red carpet outside the hotel at all times, and okay, light a few candles that are already there, that's a nice gesture on their part. But then for it to be twisted that she drove around the block, I'm gonna get out of the car, all this. Have you ever been in a situation where you do correct someone, like someone's quoted something, or you're just like, hell no, that's not how she is, or that's not, no, 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 no. Have you ever set anyone
Yeah.
straight?
All the time. Literally all the time. I actually just had, I was hanging out with a friend, and Mariah Carey came up in conversation, as it usually does if you spend more than 10 minutes with me. And yeah, he was just like, I don't know, I just feel like she's not a nice person. And then I was like, okay, well, what do you mean by you feel like she's not a nice person? And then he's just like, well, I just always hear like, like bad things about her. She's such a diva. And I was like, well, she is a diva, but not in the sense that you probably, like, of course, people think of diva, they think of, I don't know if I can say this, but bitch, and it's not the same thing. And I don't like, I can't really think of any specific situations, but it's definitely always like a no, 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 like that's
Mm-hmm.
not the case. Or I'll
Mm.
like prove, like when I met her, I'm like, okay, I met her. And this was my experience the first time I met her. And there was no sort of, she wasn't, I don't know, like, and I've met her more than once. And every single time I meet Mariah Carey, she's always so nice, so like, she knows that this is an exciting moment for us. So she gives us, I don't know, just really good moments. And she's extremely
Yeah.
nice. She's extremely nice to the people around her. She's extremely nice to her team. Like, she's just a nice person. And then whenever we see like other celebrities talk about when they've met Mariah, they always have good things to say. It's always just the media and then the people who are just going off of rumors who have this different perception of her. But people who meet her in real life are like, well, actually, wait a minute. She was really nice. And they're always so surprised by how nice she is. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you guys, this whole time, you guys just think she's just some huge, evil, mean person? Then that it's such a shock when she's just a normal, nice person.
Yeah, behind the image and underneath the headlines, at the end of the day, she's a regular person and she chooses to be the type of person she wants to be. And she chooses to be a lovely person. You and I both know that firsthand. We've been lucky enough to meet her. And I think that is a powerful thing when you can say, well, I have met this person. And my experience was this. I remember being outside a London hotel, and there was a little girl with her parents, and Britney Spears was staying in the same hotel, and they were outside the hotel pretty much all day. They wanted to have the little girl have a moment with Britney, and we were outside the hotel waiting for Mariah, and we knew we were going to see Mariah. In fact, I think it was the day I had my first photo with her, so it was a happy result. But
Oh,
someone came out and addressed the girl and the parents like, Britney's not coming out. It's not happening, and it was a definite like polite. But a no, it was definitely a no. It's not going to happen because they didn't want to have this little girl out because it was like getting dark now, and the parents wanted to go home. I don't think they even lived in London. Anyway, I felt so bad for this little girl. She was like 8, 9 years old, and her parents, had supported her and brought her there. And I felt guilty. I'm like, here I am, a grown ass man, and I'm like, I'm good, I'll wait, but I know I'm going to see Mariah. But this little girl next to me, oh, boo hoo, darling, sorry, you didn't get to meet yours.
you should have been a Mariah fan. But
And
no, we love
yeah,
Britney.
moments like that where I'm like, yeah, I really, you have to like not take for granted just how generous she is. I remember one time in college I spoke up in Mariah's defense. I felt so emphatic. I almost stood up out of my chair. But in college, I was like super shy and not one to speak out. College, for for us is like what you're like high school. So I'm talking like age 17.
Okay.
Your college is like our university. So I would have been 17. I was in a media studies class and we were talking about the press and the media and whatever. And do you remember, this was again British tabloids. I don't know if this made it to you, but do you remember the quote? Yeah, I mean, you're a little younger than me, it might be before your time, but there was a quote where Mariah apparently was on record saying, commenting about like kids in Africa, like, oh, I would love to. She was looking at pictures of like starving kids in Africa, and she was like, oh, I'd love to be that skinny, just without all the flies and death and stuff.
Oh no, I've
You
never
never heard that one?
heard those. No.
Complete rubbish. It like completely fabricated, like just a complete, not even like a misquote, just a complete out Liza Minnelli lies. It was just awful.
Yeah, I
But
couldn't imagine her ever saying that.
no, no, but it got traction and it was reported, and I'm in. I think it was the topic of conversation was stars that get so big they get like separated from reality, or they're so distant, like you're not aware of what you say and how like the average person like, how that's going to translate to the average person on the street. And it was this. Mariah was put on that end of the scale of someone who is so big and so overinflated in the ego department, they're completely detached. They don't even realize how a comment like that sounds or lands. And they used the it was the tutor, it was the actual teacher that quoted that, and it was like that was like the point she wanted to make. And I just found my hand in the air and I felt myself almost wanting to stand up. I was like, I just have to say I am a huge Mariah fan, and I know that quote, and I know it because it's a complete fabrication. There are other things you can quote, and I'm not saying I agree with everything she's done or said or whatever. She's not perfect. I'm not a blind fan. But that quote is actually quite famous for being a complete and total lie. And she's, so it's a misquote. So yeah, she didn't say it. Oh, so what did you say? I said nothing. That's why it's been completely rebuked. It's not like a misquote. It's just, but it made, it was printed. It was printed. It was passed around. It was quoted. I'm having a tutor throw it in my face as part of like a lesson in media studies. I was like, no, no, complete and utter rubbish. I want to jump ahead to when things took a little bit of a positive turn in terms of her press treatment, at least over here, with 2005, the emancipation of Mimi. So we're going to dive into that right after a quick break. Dimitri, you are on YouTube. We mentioned this. Tell all the good people about your channel and what they can look forward to seeing on there.
So mostly, it would be just reaction videos and ranking videos. I do have a couple other videos, but I would say for the most part, it's reaction and ranking videos. I think my favorite of the two probably is the ranking videos. I sit down, I don't like plan it out or anything. I just sit down, pop on my headphones, and I just rank the album from my favorite to my, and I hate to say it, least favorite song. And yeah, the video is just me going through that and trying to rank it, which is very difficult at times.
The ranking videos are my favorite videos of yours on your channel because I think it's hard, but then I get to like co-sign and agree with you or disagree, and they're entertaining because you're getting your groove on, you're having a little bop. I think it was one of your Christmas ones. You had like a bit of a workout. You were up and you were feeling like the church moments. It's so hilarious,
Yes.
guys. You need to go and check out Dimitri's YouTube channel. It is Dummytri on YouTube. And we are back. So I want to jump ahead to 2005. Now this was the era for you, right? So what was the mood? Like you're getting into Mariah, but was everyone getting into Mariah with you? Because it was a huge, huge era for her. So talk me through what it was like for you at that time.
Yes, everybody was getting into Mariah. It was actually cool to like Mariah Carey's music. And I remember just, I'm sorry, you're taking me back right now. Middle school for me, like I think was it seventh or eighth grade? I can't remember. Maybe it was both years in the middle or something. But I just remember everybody playing We Belong Together, Shake It Off, Don't Forget About Us. Of course, It's Like That.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, like one of my memories that I have is like sitting on the bricks outside of my middle school waiting for my ride. And just like this, it's so crazy. I can remember it was a green truck with like chrome spinners and like chrome like some it was just all chromed out. It was a Dodge Ram and they were bumping Shake It Off like the truck was like rattling and I was just like, "Oh, I love this song." And I always remember that. So, I wonder if that truck is still all decked out, but but yeah, it's definitely it was, and then you would hear it everywhere all over the radio, parties, people would be playing It's Like That. It was just a huge success for her and everybody was listening to it.
I have a similar memory. My Mariah friends, my Lamb friends at the time, we were obviously obsessing, playing Emancipation of Mimi over and over and over. But I remember we were in North London and I was with one friend and they had parked their car and we are in an underground car park and we are walking away from the car anyway, and then another car comes by and they are blasting Say Something, and our heads just
Mm.
turned and snapped in the direction of that car, and then we looked at each other and the look of awe and disbelief, like a random person is playing Mariah in their car. Like, you just, I don't know, it's felt like, even though the Emancipation of Mimi was a huge, huge era, I'm like, well, of course people are playing the music. That's why the album is doing well and it's popular. But it just felt so freaking magical to hear a random car just drive past you playing it. I don't know why. It just really, it hit hard. And then when you described your Chrome situation, I'm like, oh my God, I remember my underground car park situation.
Yeah, exactly. And for you, it had to be even more like exciting because you went through the glitter era. Like I said, I didn't really become like a huge, huge Mariah Carey fan until the Emancipation era. So I didn't go through like the low and then get a high. I just kind of started at the high.
Yeah, I
So
don't know if I had it better or worse because I always say, I always joke, I had a rough initiation into the Lamley, but then I felt like I
yeah,
earned my stripes because it was
exactly.
rough. I chose like the lowest point, the hardest point, because I love Glitter as a project, but I mean like low and hard because of the mistreatment of Mariah during the press. But
Hmm.
I started a fan community. I had my website. We were doing fan events. I was like, oh, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this 100. So I definitely feel like I earned my stripes. And then I think it made the emancipation of Mimi all the sweeter, especially when it came
Hmm.
to the press treatment. Did you notice a big change in her treatment? I think over here we were very happy with the music and she had some good interview moments. But ultimately, when those moments subside over here in the UK, I feel like we, in general, we tend to always revert back to, the diva stories. We put her back on that shelf. Mariah Carey is a diva, and those stories still get a lot of traction. They get a lot of attention. I do remember in 2008, so E equals the Einstein era, Mariah appeared on a show called The Friday Night Project. Have you come across those clips at all on YouTube in the past? The Friday Night Project in the UK.
No.
You need to look it up because it's kind of like how many years did it go on for? I used to love it. It didn't run for long. It's not been on for a long time, but I guess it was an attempt at like our version of SNL, maybe. They had
Okay.
two regular hosts. It was like two comedians, and then there would be a guest celebrity host. And so Mariah came out like super skinny legend because Einstein era, touched my body and all that. And she comes out and she welcomes the audience to the show, and there's almost like a little bit not like stand up, like when a host comes out on SNL and they've got a script and they're reading a few jokes.
Yeah.
Mariah did that, and it was so weird because she's not just going on sitting down on someone's couch and just, at the mercy of whatever silly questions they want to ask her. Okay, she's at the mercy of like a silly auto cue full of whatever jokes, but when you watch that show, and because it was like a good hour or something, she really got her sense of humor across, and I remember that feeling that it was a really significant moment because one of my biggest gripes is that over here people don't have any idea who Mariah is as a person. They have this image of her being a diva through the eyes of the press and the British press in particular, but also in recent years she's just not over here as much. You guys get her a lot more because she lives over there, but
Hmm.
she really isn't over here very much at all. And my friends and I used to say, I just wish Mariah could get her humor across, get her personality across. And the Friday Night Project in 2008 is the first time I can remember being so happy because I was thinking, there is Mariah being Mariah, unedited and not rushed through a city interview on British TV, on a major, like primetime TV show. I really, really hope I really, really hope everybody is watching this. Are there any particular shows that you remember Mariah doing that you felt were really good for her career or anything like that? I mean, this one had me like so happy, but she does so much press when she's over in Europe back in the day, but she's always doing so much over in America. Anything that stands out for you?
I mean, more so in the recent years, of course, like this whole memoir, all of the press for the memoir. But I'm trying to think of something that she had over here that was, like the only things that really come to my mind are like the bad moments because those are the ones that go viral. Those are the ones that get traction and people see. Whenever she has some sort of good interview or a good anything, people don't watch it. They don't care to spread that sort of good Mariah. You know what I mean? Like they want
Yeah.
to drag her. So I can't really think of anything that I would say changed or like helped her
Well,
image here.
I was going there next anyway, with what comes to mind with what's not helped her, because
Well, then there we go.
not everything's a smart decision, and Friday Night Project was like the best thing. And actually, before we move on to things that haven't helped her, another time she came back with for the Memoirs album promotion. And one of those hosts from the Friday Night Project is Alan Carr, who, if you are a Drag Race fan, is one of the rotating judges on Drag Race UK. He is the comedian with like the gap in his teeth and the glasses, and I think RuPaul introduces him as the super spexy Alan Carr. Anyway, so the Alan Carr show, I think that's what his show's called. Yeah, and Mariah went on, and again, she's relaxed, and she performed I Want to Know What Love Is in the purple outfit, and a great performance, but she sat on the couch, and she gave an interview. He opened a bottle of champagne, it spilled over him, she got up and went over and like dried him off, and they had a really good rapport, and I was like, yes, we've got it again, we've got Mariah on UK TV again. Those moments felt like absolute gold, because over here the press really tear her down, and I'm like, when you've got a video clip of her just behaving in, as a person, it's like, well, argue with that. Like
Hmm.
a rumor is a rumor or a story is a story, but here's a video clip. Here she is cracking jokes and showing she's, a normal human with a good sense of humor. So those are the two moments on UK TV that come to mind when I think about she's done herself justice by just being herself and showing herself. I wish we had more. Perhaps I am forgetting. Maybe people can remind me, but I'm trying to think of any other ones. But I wish we did have more moments like that where we just get to have her on our screens over here in the UK. In fact, actually, maybe the most recent one, I'm rambling now, forgive me, but the most recent one was she appeared on the Graham Norton show. And Graham Norton is the other rotating guest, judge on RuPaul's Drag Race UK. And she appeared via video link last year to promote the Apple TV Plus special. And she was fantastic because it's difficult over link, and she was connecting with Graham and she's connecting with the other guests in the room. And it just felt like such a good like welcome back to UK TV. I just want her on UK TV more, showing herself and being her good self, because I feel like she really does herself justice. I think that is what we need. We need more of those moments. But let's move on to things that maybe haven't helped the public's perception of her. So I'm going to throw this over to you. I've been rambling. Let's throw it over to you. Can you recall a moment or a project or something where it's a little bit cringe or it's a little bit, oh, you haven't helped yourself there, darling?
Well, and I never bring this up because it gets brought up way too often and people just can't let it go. But since we're on this topic, well, there's two performances. I'm sure you already know which two are coming. So the Rockefeller performance, that one they cannot let it go, and I
Nope.
hear that all the time. They're like, that is like the last performance that some people have watched of hers,
Yeah.
or the New Year's performance, of course. Like
Mm-hmm.
these two performances, we'll talk about them together.
Yeah.
People always go to those and they're like, "Oh, did you see? Did you?" I'm like, "Yes, honey, years ago, and we've
Yeah.
gotten over it. Like we've moved on. We've had so many good performances since then, so many good like vocal moments since then. Like, but people won't let that go. So those two performances definitely um, did not help her because
Hmm.
people have clinged on to them and they won't let that go. Um,
I argued with a good friend of mine over the New Year's Eve one because I don't want to get too specific, but some people, like you say, they will stop at that performance. And this is someone who is a little younger and they haven't had the years and the years. So they haven't got loads of good performances or connotations of Mariah like banked and like, oh, what happened there? That was a bad one. That is,
mhm.
they had some awareness, but then that was so widely reported that came to their attention. It's in their conscience. Oh, no, no, no. And they write her off. And I'm like, but we've had, like you say, several years, many wonderful performances. No, no, no. I can't believe that. Just look at that. The fact that this and she, oh, and then I think there was a little alcohol behind the conversation. I was like, no, I'm not letting this go. I want to get my point across. And in the end, I had to walk away from the conversation because I'm like, why? I feel like I'm going back to like glitter era. Why am I wasting my energy? I think it's because it was a friend and I wanted them to understand. You want them to understand your love and everything. But at the end of the day,
Exactly.
you can't make someone see it or feel it. And
It's
that's,
always the hardest to like make them see it because sometimes their mind is made up or they don't care enough to really do the research or look into it. It's just like, oh no, I've decided that I canceled her because of that performance. She can't sing anymore. And
yeah.
they like, and that's their decision, which is fine. They're not as invested in Mariah Carey as we are. But yeah, I'm definitely with you. I'm like, no, 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 no. Wait a minute. Here are the receipts. Let me show you. Look at this performance and this performance and this performance. And sometimes I can change people's minds, usually actually, with a performance. They'll be like, oh, I didn't see this. It's like, of course you did, because these things don't get reported and they don't go viral. Like, if she's not giving you guys the opportunity to drag her, then it will not go in rotation. So yeah, those two performances. Oh, they were rough. There was a whole little rough era when somebody was involved in her life. Like I said
Mm-hmm.
before, we rebuke that era. So speaking of bad decisions, that whole person probably was
Yeah.
a an extremely bad decision. You can say the word, it's against my religion. But
We are talking
but
about the Stella era, the Hella era. It's the most
mhm,
detached I've ever felt from Mariah because she made this decision to put these people around her. And, she wasn't even running her own social media at one point, and I wasn't really understanding like the business decisions and the marketing decisions. And I mean, even like just before like the mishandling of the Me I Am album and how that stalled, and coming off the back of American Idol, it felt like a bit of a rough time to be a lamb again. And I'm like, I can't be bothered to have these conversations with people. I have my own relationship with the woman in my head. Everything's fine. We're good friends. But I don't need to be going around and like trying to convince people and talk about things. But I did find it quite isolating. I wasn't online in the same capacity anywhere like I am now with a YouTube channel and a podcast like and connecting with you and like so many other people. It felt a bit lonely. I felt out here on my own being a
mhm.
lamb here in the UK. I was like, oh my gosh, who is this Stella? And what is she doing? Why are we trying to palm Mariah's World off as a credible docu-series? I'm This is really hard to chew.
And I was so in denial. I was so excited for Mariah's World. I held a viewing party every single week. And like I even remember tweeting something. I hope I've deleted it by now. But I remember tweeting something around the lines of like, I don't know why y'all hate Stella so much. Like but this was I was in denial. I was blind. But then like moment after moment, I'm like, okay, that was not good. Okay, that was not good. Okay, that and then I'm like, okay, wait, these decisions are not Mariah's decisions because there's no way that she can be mishandling her career
Hmm.
this much. Like these, like that, there were just certain pictures that were posted on her Instagram, and I'm like, this
Yeah.
is 100% not Mariah Carey approved. Like we know what she approves and what she doesn't approve, and this is not. And then I was like, okay, wait. And then I started to see what all the lambs were talking
Mm-hmm.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just yeah, when she like what you mentioned before, how she wasn't in charge of her own social media. Like that was not a great
Because that's how we
decision.
connect. So then once that's removed,
Yeah.
that medium is removed, you don't feel like you've got that connection. And it's kind of like you go to a restaurant because you've gone to this restaurant for years, you love it, love it, love it, but the food is coming out and it's subpar and you're kind of like, well, I still want to eat here. I still really want to love it here. So you give it another try, you give it another try, but then you look around at other tables and that's like looking at other lambs like, are you getting served the same stuff? It's not like what the chef would want to come out. It's not what Mariah would want to put out. It's not Mariah. approved. I don't know. It wasn't a great moment, and she didn't. I feel, this is just my opinion, I don't feel she helped herself with that moment in time in terms of her public perception, because there were things that went up on her Instagram that were questionable, and some of it, okay, you can't just say, oh, that person took a photo and posted it. Like, there's things that she's doing to the like with the camera, playing to the camera, and I'm like, we all have little videos and have little selfies and little festive moments that make it onto our camera roll, but they don't always make it onto our social media. I don't know, I just felt a bit uncomfortable at times. I hate to say that, but I did feel uncomfortable at times with some of the content.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, that's, you touched on it about like we have festive moments, that are in our camera roll. So I do, I feel like Mariah, maybe she was having some splashes, she was enjoying her time, and she was just being herself and capturing these moments with maybe never intending on this being posted
Mm, mm.
online. And yeah, I don't know. I think this is just my opinion, but or yeah, I just feel like she kind of just disconnected and didn't even really know what was going on her
Yeah,
Instagram. It was just like I feel like maybe she opened her phone and was like, "Girl, what? Like you posted this? This is crazy." But
yeah. I believe that. I
yeah,
think there was even one photo which was like an unfortunate kind of like up the skirt shot, and she even addressed it like, "Oh well, so and they put it up, and there's a big stir," and I don't know. I don't know. It was a challenging
and
time. She wasn't in control of what was being posted, and like I think I agree. I don't think she was aware of everything that was being posted. But Mariah these days is in much more of, I don't know, like she's more in control of which way
definitely in control.
things are going with her social media, which I think in turn helps the public perception. We're gonna get into that after another very quick break. Thanks for listening to Hey Lamb, guys. I hope you are enjoying it. If you are, you can leave me a little tip. You can buy me a drink over on buymeacoffee.com. It is a great way to show your support to your favorite creators by buying them a drink. Simply head over to buymeacoffee.com/heylamb and you can tip me with a little drink. Cheers. So, we've been talking about Mariah's activity on social media. There was a bit of a rough spot a few years back, but how much of a sweet spot is it right now? What do you make of Mariah on social media in 2021? I mean, come on.
I am loving it. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. Like I feel, especially because I feel like there's no sort of, how can I say this? She's just tweeting as herself.
Hmm.
The way she talks, the way she tweets, she's just giving us actual Mariah Carey. I don't feel like there's a team behind it trying to approve this tweet or reword it or you should structure it this way. It's just Mariah being Mariah. And the general public are finally realizing that she's hilarious. Like she's very funny. And yeah, people are just getting an actual Mariah and she can finally show people who she really is.
Yeah, it's
And I think,
unfiltered. No
hmm,
management. Maybe there's people there to help her like tweet or like, just physically get it out. And like she's
yeah.
done a lot on like YouTube and on video calls. So there's someone there. I'm like, make sure someone's there to get the good internet connection and get the good lighting and then let her fly.
Hmm.
Let her do her thing. She seems to be so free. She seems to be, and I think it's coming off the back of the memoir and how well received that was, and also how dialed in and connected she has been with the Lamely, because it's just been like a almost like it, well, not, it's more than 6 months, but this not quite a year yet, but this ongoing conversation. It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. She's really dialed in with us. She's given us so many moments, and she is very accustomed to and comfortable with doing things online. There was that was it a Zoom like virtual listening party for Save the Day when that was new, and there was a big
Hmm.
call and they invited some lambs in and there was media. She's used to sitting.
Which I'm still very mad about.
maybe we'll get an invitation to the next one. Fingers
Yes,
crossed.
the in-person one will be there for that one.
But I'm loving how she is authentically herself, and it's her when she pops onto Twitter and she's just throwing like accidental song battle games. Like she's like, I'm just curious about something. Help me out. This song or that song, and then that leads into like a series of 20 tweets, and people are throwing different songs at her and stuff. And I mean, there was one time I was editing a video for my YouTube channel, and she popped on Twitter. We get that notification, ding, Mariah Carey just tweeted, and I stopped what I was doing to take screen captures of what Mariah was doing on Twitter. Because like, this is fun. She's interacting with us, and she's like letting us choose between songs. She's commenting on songs and everything. And I just sat there and made a video about it as she was tweeting it. I was like, this is just awesome, because she comes online and plays like fun little games and stuff. It just feels different now. I'm like, why wasn't it always like this? It just seems like she's so natural with social media, and she's had all these like viral moments and things, like Halloween to Christmas, bottle top challenge. There have been a few articles like the 10 times Mariah Carey killed it on social media, and I'm like, yeah, I'll sit back and I'll read that. I'll sit back and put that on my Facebook, news feed, and let everyone enjoy that, because there are multiple moments. Do you have any favorite moments for Mariah on social media?
I
Because there's been a
love the
few.
bottle cap challenge. The bottle cap challenge was, I mean, one, because of how viral it went, but two, just because it, not that it's outside of her box, because we know that Mariah is funny, she's
Mm-hmm.
playful, she's festive, but like for her to get involved in such a big trend and then make it so Mariah Carey, and I don't know, I love that challenge. I've played it over and over and over again. So I loved that one. Wasn't there an outtake or something? Didn't she post an
Yes.
outtake of it?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
months and months later. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Loved that. I completely, it barely came to me. I forgot about that little moment. But what else? What about you? There's
Well,
so many. Every time there's so much, it's just all comes in at once, and I can't pick one thing.
my favorite like just internet moments have been the ones that are genuinely for us, like her going on her YouTube channel, and it's usually been for like a benefit or a fundraiser, and but she'll give us a mashup or a performance, because to put like Through the Rain and make it happen together, I'm like, that is not for like my friends who enjoy the emancipation of Mimi, and they're like, oh, caution, yeah, cool, but they don't know anything about me, I am, whatever. It's like, no, that's not for you, that's for us, that's for you, Dimitri, that's for
Mm-hmm.
me, that's for all of our lamb friends. Like, that being on the internet is amazing, and that means the most. But I get so freaking excited with things like the bottle cap challenge and the November 31st to December 1st. It's
Love
time.
that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
October. Sorry, October 31st, not November, October, because it's Halloween. Her having those moments, because they entertain people, and she gets her personality across while still looking glam, and it gets some traction in the press. And I feel like Mariah, on like the global press, is getting more respect and more love. That's what I'm feeling, and I've noticed a little bit of a change in some of the UK press, because now I feel like it's a little bit more of a shared press, and maybe that's part of it. I feel like in the past our press was horrendous about a lot of people, including her, and then you've got your press, and they're just doing their own thing. During the glitter era, they're on the same page because everyone's just digging the same hole for her. But these days, it's more like news outlets, all they're really doing is reporting what someone has done or what they're putting on their social media. If Mariah does something, we all know about it, and it's just their option whether they want to report on it and then add some commentary, if this is making sense. So I feel
Yeah,
like
definitely.
we're seeing some better UK press, because it is a global press. How, I don't know, how do you feel?
No, yeah, I feel exactly the same way. There's been a huge shift lately. I think a lot of that is because, she's been more active. She gives us something, and I mean, you can't really twist what she's giving us because it's
Mm.
on her social media. So, they don't have that opportunity. They just, if they're like, if you want people to retweet your tweet, like, all you can do is show or report what she did, and then that'll, get people's attention. But
The
like,
other thing I've noticed is that Mariah seems to be getting a lot of public outpouring of love from other celebrities. So there's like this in
yes.
within the bubble, within the industry, and that for me is very powerful because it's influential. Wasn't there a news article or a little tidbit online recently that Kelly Rowland once ended an interview because the interviewer was trying to rag on Mariah? Did you hear
Oh,
this?
I didn't hear this yet. Not yet,
See,
no.
We share a lot in our DMs on Insta, but I don't think I shared this link with you and the boys. But yeah, Kelly Rowland. It was an article that did the rounds, and it's like way back in the day. It's not like a recent interview, but they were trying to like prompt or poke Kelly to have like a comment about Mariah, or they say, "Oh, Mariah's this, Mariah's that," and she's like, "No, no, 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 no. I will not have that said
You're not
about
doing
Miss
it.
Carey. No, 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 because she is
Mm-hmm.
this and she is that." And I'm like, yeah, I love that. That's a story from like back in the day. But it is powerful, it is influential because Mariah is all of that and more. And when other artists say that, they all agree. It's like, yeah, let's surround this woman by all of these people in the industry. And it's not just music, just entertainment as a whole. There are so many people that seem to be publicly showing their love. And it makes me so happy because I think it helps sways. Because if your favourite likes Mariah, if your favourite speaks in favour of her, then it kind of has a little bit of an influence over you.
Exactly. Yeah, like my friend, the one I mentioned earlier, who was like, "Oh, I just feel like she's not a nice person." He was he had made some sort of comments about like how much he loves Beyonce, and I'm like, "Okay, well, Mariah Carey inspired your
Yeah,
favorite, artist, and we love Beyonce here."
of course.
But he was like, "Oh, show me that she's ever said that Mariah Carey's influenced her." I was like, "Here you go." But yeah, it definitely does help, especially like the Mariah Carey and Ariana collab, that
Come
because,
on, yeah.
the stands have come together now for the most part. Because we know that that was like the biggest,
Hmm.
even me for a while years ago, I was, didn't have my own opinion about Ariana Grande and I was going with the flow if I'm being completely honest. And I
Sure.
was a hater. Um, and you know, but I did like some of her music, but now she's Mariah approved. So so we love her, you
Exactly.
know.
It's that stamp of approval. It
Hmm.
means so much. I feel like Mariah is really in this legacy era now, where she is happy, really happy and comfortable leaning into her back catalogue and celebrating it, and all of this within the industry, peer to peer support, respect, and love. Like when she is at award ceremonies and you get those cutaway shots and people are like, oh my god, I love her, I love her. Or there's a quote and or red carpet moments and Mariah's walking behind and like, oh my god, Mariah Carey's behind me, and that's all they can focus on. They can't
Exactly.
even engage in their own interview. I live for those bits. One thing I want to ask you, the meaning of Mariah Carey, we've discussed this in my book club, and
Hmm.
I think it's done the world of good. What do we think a possible adaptation is going to do for the public perception? Because not everyone's read the book. We touched upon this a little bit in the
Hmm.
final video in my book club series, but more people may tune in and watch a TV series.
I think an adaptation could be one of the best things for her career, into a film, because I think the book is one of the best things she's done for her career, but not everybody reads. Not everybody will sit there, and, because they see Mariah Carey. If they haven't seen what the book is about, if they haven't read any of the reviews, they're just gonna push it aside and not ever give it a chance. But more people will be inclined to tune into a film, and then they will see that side of Mariah Carey, or those shocking things, or like what she went through, who she really is, like who she surrounded herself with, like
Mm-hmm.
coming up, because I think people have this whole perception of like she's just this huge superstar with a team of like servants or something around her, when it really wasn't that case. It was friends or people she like idolized, or she was a fan of their work, so she wanted to collaborate with them. And I think, yeah, the film would do so much for her because it would show, for one, her talent as more than just a singer, like as more than just her voice, but and then also like who she is as a person and what she went through. I think, yeah, it has to happen. I'm getting so excited. It really has to happen. And like my roommate, she hasn't read the book, but I know for sure she'll watch the film, And I think there's so much for people to learn about Mariah Carey that this would be the best way to get it across.
It would be a lot more accessible for a lot of people. It's a commitment to pick up a book and okay, there's her name and her picture, and I'm a bit indifferent. Do I really want to read a whole book? And I'm always encouraging those friends like, yeah, you do. You really do want to read the book. Here's
You
your
want to
copy.
read
I've got a
it, you
spare
have to
copy.
read it.
Take it. But an adaptation, particularly if it's a TV series, I think would be more accessible. But it could do wonders for dispelling myths that, you know, she was just like Cinderella and that whole thing. She had it really easy. People don't know all of that. So I think it could do really well, but then that makes me aware that there is like a level of like responsibility and like handle it well, the whole team, everybody. This could be very, very key, and there's a little bit of pressure, expectation, certainly from me, and I always think the Lamely, like it's got to be done very well. It's got to be done to high quality, treated very carefully, because I would love it to have that, you know, moment where people watch it and they're like, wow, I didn't read the book, but I watched that, and wow, was that how it happened? And we were like, yep. What they depicted, that is what happened. They'd be like, wow, I never knew. I'd love for more people to have that like aha moment where they really realize how it really was for her. Dimitri, before I let you go, I want to play my new favorite game with you, which is exclusive to my podcast, and it is called Spin, Pin, or Bin. Just to get us in the mood, a little jingle there for you. So this is Spin, Pin, or Bin, and what I have on my phone here in my hand is pretty much every single Mariah Carey song listed. When I say pretty much every single one, it's just not, you know, all 20 different versions of a club mix or something, you know? And it's not the Christmas songs. I made the decision to put those aside because there can be a Christmas edition at a different point in time. So I'm going to randomly select 3 different Mariah songs, and we're both going to play. We have to choose one to spin, one to pin, and one to bin. So spin is love it, play it, keep it, never going to let it go, put that on now. That's spin. Bin is you have to trash it. You never get to hear it again. It goes in the bin, it goes in the trash, it's gone. You have to say goodbye. And then the middle ground is pin. Put a pin in it. I think I'll keep it. We'll play it, but not today, for another day. All right? Spin, pin, or bin. Here we go.
Spin and spin.
You cannot play spin, spin, and spin. It's spin, pin, and bin. Here we go. Right. So I'm going to randomly select 3 songs using this random generator. The first song, Slipping Away. The second song, More Than Just Friends. The third song, Ex-Girlfriend. 1 for spin, 1 goes in the bin, you throw it in the trash, and you can put a pin in 1 and keep it for maybe another day. What are you feeling? Spin, pin, or bin? Tell me.
Okay, this is actually a little easier than I thought. Because, so definitely spin, Slipping Away. Love Slipping Away. Pin, More Than Just Friends. And then bin, Ex-Girlfriend.
I am going to agree with you on Slipping Away. That has to be the keep, the play. Play it right now. Spin it, spin it, spin it. I'm going to bin More Than Just Friends, which surprises me because I thought, I'm kind of like 50-50, but I'm not a massive fan of More Than Just Friends or Ex-Girlfriend. And I feel like when I did my album rating video on my YouTube channel, I didn't give Ex-Girlfriend like a good shout, and people kind of called me out in the comments a little bit. It's not like I don't like it, it's just not my favorite. So, we'll agree on Slipping Away is the spin, but you're going to bin Ex-Girlfriend. You sure?
Yes, very sure.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Well, that was our quick little edition of Spin, Pin, or Bin. Dimitri, thank you so much for joining me. So just to remind everyone, the Twitter account is Dimitri L4L, is in lamb for lamb. And then the YouTube channel and also Instagram is Dimitri, Dummytry.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining. Always a pleasure, Dimitri. And hey, I guess I'll see you back on Instagram and we'll continue chatting. It's like a daily catch-up, but I'll see you on Instagram.
It really is. All right, I'll see you soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.